I don't know if y'all have heard, but not Zelensky, Jesus Christ, but Israel has decided to annex almost the majority of the West Bank. They announced these plans on Wednesday. I'm gonna go ahead and play y'all the hotspot video. Then we're gonna do a little bit of a deep dive into that. Actually,
Israel plans on punishing Palestinians by building more settlements in the West Bank because other countries decided to recognize Palestine as a legitimate state. Norway, Ireland, Spain, Slovenia have all recognized Palestine as a state independent of Israel. Now, this is partially in response to the events that have taken place in Gaza since October 7th, but this is also a response to Israel's refusal to even consider a two-state solution in which Palestinians have the same rights as Israelis in the area. So the far-right finance minister of Israel, Smotrich, said they should approve 10,000 new settlements in the West Bank as punishment for each country that had the audacity to recognize Palestine as an independent state. And unfortunately, he's likely to get his wish, as Haaretz points out that 6,016 housing units in many West Bank settlements are going to be built. To make matters even worse, they're even going to greenlight and legalize 5 illegal outposts with the specific goal of fighting against the recognition of a Palestinian state. But Hamas, right? Now, a lot of people will still try to convince you that this is not an apartheid state, but they'll leave out the fact that while Israelis can seek leases for these new settlements, Palestinians still cannot have private ownership in any area in the West Bank. Now, this has been announced as part of a grander plan to annex the entirety of the West Bank. And if Israel successfully annexes the entirety of the West Bank, where exactly are Palestinians supposed to go? Or a better question, how is Israel even allowed to openly discuss annexing an entire territory without being punished and thoroughly reprimanded by the international community? Please explain that to me. And this is what we mean by this conflict did not start on or after October 7th, because there is no Hamas in the West Bank. There are no Israeli hostages in the West Bank. Israel has no reason to be in the West Bank, and they made it clear, yeah, we don't really have a reason. We're just punishing Palestinians because other countries had the audacity to recognize Palestinian sovereignty and humanity. And as we've seen in Gaza, the Palestinians no longer have anywhere to go. And in the West Bank, they're annexing the entire area and Palestinians will have nowhere to go. So when you're killing them and you're leaving them with nowhere to go, we would normally describe that as a genocide. And if you don't think it's genocide and you want to use the same tired excuse, please explain to everybody how Israel annexing an entire territory and removing Palestinians is somehow Israel defending itself, when they literally admit it has nothing to do with defending ourselves. We're just punishing them. Yep, that's our only goal. There's no room for interpretation, no ambiguity. We just want to punish them.
yeah, bro, that story is actually crazy and kind of flew under the radar a bit. Let's check out these super chats. We're going to dive right into it. Spark A, appreciate the super chat. Hunter Kushner 24. Hey man, they'll probably get enough donations from the elites to win. Like, Hunter is damn near untouchable. So like, I guess investing in him would probably be worth the investment. Right? You know, he's untouchable. He's also an idiot who can't, keep his laptop secure even when he's taking pictures of himself naked smoking crack. So maybe he isn't the best guy. All right. At least Kushner is a little bit more buttoned up. Eric Huzo, thank you very much for the super chat. I wish we could drop all the divisive ID politics and unite in class struggle to defeat and dismantle the U.S. empire. Free us. Amen to that, my brother. Amen to that. We really do need to stop all the divisiveness. It sucks too, because when you want to get in, because part of the class struggle is recognizing the individual and unique struggles of other identities, marginalized people, oppressed people, etc. But when people use those struggles superficially in order to play the victim, right, in the quote unquote oppression Olympics, that's when it gets annoying. It gets annoying and it gets divisive and it's unproductive. But one day, man, one day us shall be free. So let's go ahead and check out this article, talking a little bit more about what's on the way for the people in the West Bank. It's actually already started, unfortunately. As violence and ethnic cleansing surges throughout the occupied West Bank, the Israeli NGO Peace Now says Tel Aviv has approved the largest illegal settlement expansion in over 3 decades. Israel's Supreme Planning Council will also review plans to advance the construction of more than 6,000 housing units across the West Bank in Jewish-only colonies. This comes as far-right finance minister Bezalel Smotrich, who holds a key position in defense ministry, acting as the West Bank's de facto governor, is moving forward with plans to fully annex the occupied territory. Now, once again, for those people who don't seem to understand what genocide means, for those who swear to God they don't want to actually exterminate the Palestinian people, they don't want them completely removed from their land, that's just, hyperbole, that's anti-Semitic. Do y'all know what annex mean? And do y'all know what the word fully means? Because if all of the West Bank is fully annexed, where exactly are the Palestinians supposed to go? Out of curiosity. To Israel? No, obviously not. They have nowhere to go. Like that's what a genocide is. You take everything and then you kill the people who won't leave. That is what a genocide is. And then there's also the factor, what does the West Bank have to do with October 7th? Not a damn thing. This is what they're doing right now. Their plans for the West Bank, that is how you end up with an October 7th. That and also letting down your guard and basically ignoring all the signs that October 7th is going to happen. But that's a different conversation for a different day. According to a copy of the order acquired by the Associated Press, Israeli authorities have greenlit the seizure of about 5 square miles of land in the Jordan Valley. This latest land grab follows a seizure of roughly 4 square miles of the West Bank in February and March of this year. Peace Now explains this latest seizure is the largest single appropriation approved since the 1993 Oslo Accords, adding that 2024 has been by far the peak year for organized Israeli theft of Palestinian land originally intended anyway, for a 2-state solution. This Jordan Valley settlement expansion connects illegal colonies along critical corridor bordering Jordan. Monitors say this reflects an effort to preclude the establishment of a contiguous Palestinian state. Stephanie Dujarric, oh my God, I'm butchering her name. Stephanie Dujarric, a United Nations spokesperson, deemed the latest move as a step in the wrong direction, emphasizing the direction we want to be heading is to find a negotiated 2-state solution, which I don't believe is possible at this point. I don't see. I mean, hell, clearly Israel doesn't believe it's possible. They're taking everything. You can't tell me they're not trying to genocide Palestinians when they're literally taking all their land in one area, right? One side of Palestine, the West Bank, and blowing the hell out of the other side and also taking their land away from them too. Israel doesn't believe in a 2-state solution. By claiming these large swaths of territory as state lands, Israelis have the opportunity to seek leases there, leases as in like to own the property, while Palestinian private ownership is banned. And there are still people that will still try to convince you that this is not an apartheid, guys. I am so confused. I am perturbed. I am befuddled. I don't get it. This is a material fact This is a material fact, people. How is it apartheid? I can't even own land in the only place you allow me to live. Palestinians can't own land in the only places they're allowed to live. It is not enough. But the Israelis who come and illegally steal their land, they can own land. How is that not an apartheid? That's damn near. You can almost make an argument that it's worse than apartheid. Because at least in apartheid, it doesn't necessarily include a genocide. But this is a genocidal apartheid state. Isn't that crazy? Israel maintains in excess of 100 exclusive colonies throughout the West Bank, which have been built into small towns and suburbs. Additionally, Haaretz reports the agenda published Wednesday includes plans to discuss in the coming days the construction of 6,016 housing units in many West Bank settlements. Smotrich boasted last week that security cabinet rubber-stamped measures such as the construction of thousands of settler homes and the legalization of 5 illegal outposts to fight against the recognition of a Palestinian state. Bro, they are making themselves very, 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 very clear. They didn't even, you know that lie they like to push, y'all? What do they like to say on whenever people challenge them about the genocide? They say Israel has the right to defend itself. Yeah, they've moved past that. They don't even care anymore. They're not even pretending. They said, we're doing this to fight against the recognition of a Palestinian state. Smotrich is explicitly punishing the Palestinian people in retaliation for the decision made by several European governments, including Ireland, Norway, Spain, and Slovenia, to recognize a Palestinian state. He also said the measures were motivated by the announcement that the International Criminal Court's chief prosecutor is seeking arrest warrants to put Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant on trial for war crimes committed in the Gaza Strip. So they are about to annex the entirety, people, the entirety of the West Bank. That's what they said. Not because it's somehow going to defend Israel. It obviously doesn't have anything to do with Hamas at all whatsoever. Okay. It doesn't have anything to do with the hostages. In fact, I would probably make an argument this is making your hostage situation a little bit worse. But because they don't want anyone to recognize a Palestinian state, and they don't want a Palestinian state, how is this allowed to continue to happen? I don't like the West Bank is over here. Gaza is over here. Hamas is over here in Gaza. The prisoners are over here in Gaza. The hostages, rather, are over here in Gaza. West Bank is over here. I already covered a story the other day saying since October 7th, there's been like this uptick of militias that have come out of nowhere. Israel has allowed it and actually giving them money and funded them. And 500 people have died. 500 Palestinians have died in the West Bank since October 7th. A large amount of them being women and children. And what's peculiar to me is how the conversation about the West Bank keeps being ignored. Even to this day, when I covered this story a couple of days ago on Hotspot, and a lot of people have no idea it's happening. They don't even know about the 500 people that were killed before all this started. What makes all this sickening is that they're claiming that this is to punish Palestinians, literally to punish, not to defend themselves, but to punish Palestinians because 4 countries in Europe decided to recognize Palestine as a state. Ladies and gentlemen, did y'all know? Let me make sure I get this number right because I don't want to lie to y'all. 145 nations out of the 193 that belong to the UN already recognized Palestine as a state independent of Israel. I'm going to repeat that. 145 countries out of 193 already recognize Palestine as a state independent of Israel. But because 4 random European countries decided also that they will officially recognize Palestine as an independent state, Israel retaliates by making sure that there is no Palestinian territory that anyone can call a state. As they literally tell you to your face and defend themselves in court and defend themselves in the media, saying that they're not committing a genocide and still playing the victim. I'm just trying to imagine if the roles were reversed, ladies and gentlemen. If the roles were reversed, could you imagine the Palestinian Authority coming out? Could you imagine if Hamas came out and said to punish anyone who calls Israel a legitimate state, we're going to annex 40% of Israeli territory? Could you imagine if that announcement was made? Could you imagine that? Like just them saying that, like an official announcement from either the PLO or Hamas. Hell, if anyone who supported either of those two said, Palestine has, they have plans to annex about 40% of Israel, bro, the headlines would be insane. We would never stop hearing the end of it. Anti-Semitism, Islamophobia would be through the roof, right? They would be screaming anti-Semitism. Everyone will be attacking Muslims. They're already doing it. They're already trying to gaslight the world to believing like Muslims want to run away to these European countries. No, they don't. That's, where else am I going to live? You keep bombing my fucking home. I don't know where else you want me to go. I got to go to a place where I know I'm not going to be bombed. That's the only chance I got. But hey. But Israel has a right to defend itself. Is this included in that right to defend itself? Because we're going to talk a little bit in a second about this, a couple of parts about Roger Waters and Piers Morgan's interview. And I just find it interesting the convenient facts that Piers likes to focus on versus what he chooses to ignore. Right? Like he doesn't. I mean, I heard him talking to George Galloway the other day. He don't mention what happened in the West Bank. He'll bring up stuff like, oh man, but you don't feel bad about what happened to those people at the music festival? Yeah, but also the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of kids who died. Yeah, that's kind of like a priority. Like if you want to do the basically, Piers is playing that game where Israeli Jewish lives have more value. That's effective. Anytime somebody brings up the because it isn't just, once again, we don't talk about the lives that just happened after October 7th or on October 7th. We talk about the lives that were lost before, and there's no comparison. Hundreds of lives lost every year before. Hundreds of Palestinian lives lost. Thousands of Palestinians hostages before October 7th, which is how October 7th happened. And they're like, but what about those people that died? They were just there to enjoy music. Bro, what about those kids that be dying? They're just there to live. They weren't even trying to enjoy life. They were just trying to live their lives before October 7th happened. And you don't seem to have that same empathy and sympathy. That empathy and sympathy that you would have that could help you understand how people could get to a point where October 7th feels like that is the only option they have left to go get their people back and to let Israel know that they will not be bullied anymore, that they would rather choose to put themselves in danger than to allow Israel to continue in the direction that they've been going, which is complete extermination of the Palestinian people. Spark A, thank you very much for the super chat. Israel has a right to defend itself. An apple a day keeps a doctor away. Israel has a right to defend itself. An apple a day keeps a doctor away. Sounds like an old advertising trick. It is an old advertising trick. They've been saying it forever. For what? Since 1948. It is an old advertising trick. Like, bro, Israel literally bombs Lebanon. Hezbollah responds like, "Oh my God, why did you shoot a bomb at us? I can't believe you. That's so rude." You see why we had to attack you guys last week? Because we knew y'all were going to do this. I'm not joking. That's really what happened. They've been attacking Lebanon for a while now, but Israel actually attacked Lebanon like right around the end of October. Well, they've been attacking Lebanon, but Lebanon, Syria, but specifically Lebanon, Hezbollah retaliated because that's what you do when you get attacked. And Israel's like, I can't believe you guys retaliated. Do you see why we have to go to war now, everybody? Because how dare they have the audacity to respond to our attacks? They're supposed to just let us destroy them. Duh. But this is all a strategic move for them to achieve their goal of having a greater Israel. Lebanon is standing in their way. Syria is standing in their way. Parts of Egypt is standing in their way. Parts of Iran is standing in their way. Like, they're going to say whatever they have to and come up with whatever excuse they need to attain this greater Israel. And just from Netanyahu's personal perspective, he's going to say whatever he got to stay in power. He's going to go to war with whoever he has to stay in power because Israel has already set a precedent. If you were in the middle of a conflict, a military conflict, you can postpone elections. They already did it. It wasn't a presidential election, but they had to postpone local elections within the last year or so. That's been a thing. Since the existence of Israel, when they have major conflicts, postponing elections is on the table. So now, Netanyahu, do y'all understand? This man is like supreme leader. He's in supreme leader position. In other words, he is putting himself and positioning himself in a way that he can never be removed because Israel is in perpetual conflict with either Palestinians, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Syria, or obviously Iran. He's doing it on purpose because even if they don't achieve a greater Israel, what's going to happen is at least I'll be in power until I die and they can't, or by the time they can actually hold me accountable, it'll be too late. That's what his plan is. Clearly that's what his plan is because strategically he's not making any sense.